Hey, what's going on out there, YouTube family? We are back again for another movie review. We have had the pleasure of checking out a early screener for the film called Djinn. Me and Lucas are going to tackle this together. What's going on, Lucas?
After we finish arguing, is it Djinn or
Or the
Djinn?
Djinn?
It's one of the two. One of the two. Is Djinn or Djinn? We
Yeah,
haven't figured out yet. It's an American way where you could call it Djinn because it's clearly a D in the front, or possibly the proper way, which is Djinn.
Djinn. We're just going to keep it at Djinn. That's what we'll do. And just from now on, it's just Djinn. But this is coming out May the 14th. This is being directed by David and Justin. They actually were the directors of one of our favorite films of 2020, The Boy Behind the Door. And
Mhm.
so just going back into this now is just kind of seeing where they go for their second film. So, Lucas, what did you feel about this film? So we can go ahead and just break it down and tackle
Okay.
it.
To be truthful and honest about Djinn, this, ladies and gentlemen, is the best horror movie I have possibly seen since Boy Behind the Door, and I am almost inclined to say it is a better film than Boy Behind the Door, and that is a movie that I think I named it my most entertaining film of 2020,
You
and
did.
like number 8 on the list of my top 10 films of 2020. But this film here, man, this is a master class in suspense building with
Mm,
this film. For the setting, the location to be a rather small two-bedroom apartment,
yeah.
and for everything that happens in this small two-bedroom apartment, man, this is masterful. I was blown away. I think the most me and Sam said about this movie, or the most I gave up to him about my indication of this movie, is I said Ezra Dewey. Dooley?
Yep.
Am I saying it? Dewey?
Yep.
Okay, Ezra Dewey, who finally got from behind the door. Because he was the boy behind the door in the first movie. Into this movie, I said he puts together the best horror movie performance I've seen since Jamie Lee Curtis in Halloween, the first Halloween.
Mm,
His
wow.
ability to show terror and everything and display every emotion while playing a mute boy is amazing. Like
Yeah.
you don't ever hear him in this
At
film,
all.
but
Yeah.
you feel everything. Even when he screams out in pain with no voice, you feel that. Like it this was powerful. This for a film to be carried again, just like Boy Behind the Door was, for this film to be carried by a child actor. And
Mm,
for that child actor to put on a master class in how to show your horror acting abilities is amazing to me. This I can't say enough about this film. I was utterly surprised by this film because I'm not gonna lie, I went into it and I didn't expect anything to come close to Boy Behind the Door, and I said, okay, it would be natural for this to be a minor letdown from Boy Behind the Door.
mhm.
And this movie in its first 10 or 15 minutes, it really starts off slow.
It did. It did.
And you're kind of wondering, what is this building to? But the moment you understand why it built slow and it gets to the crux of the story, this
Yeah.
is amazing. My goodness. All I
Yeah.
kept on thinking, in all honesty, Sam, all I kept on thinking as I was watching this was, boy, if someone out there would decide to give these gentlemen a bigger horror movie, you may have the next great, like Andy did with It,
Mm,
where you give the right person the right type of story for them, because it's plenty of Stephen King stories. I watched this and thought of The Institute, which is a book Stephen King wrote. It's a horror
mhm.
superhero type thing, and I'm like, perfect. These are the perfect directors for it. The Talesman, another kid story surrounding Stephen King with horror. I'm like, great, they're perfect. Like it's elements that I believe they can nail with children, along with building suspense. That right now, that they blew me away. That's the best way to put it. Without me rambling on any longer than I have just rambled on, the film blew me away. I was not expecting this in any shape, form, or fashion. And man, this film it's perfect right now. And I've seen lots of films so far in 2021. This currently is the best film I've seen, horror or any other category. This is the best film I've seen so far in 2021.
Wow. So I'm a little caught off guard, you guys, because normally whenever me and Lucas review film, we never really talk about it. Unless, we're kind of just like, oh, well, this one moment, we might talk or dabble a little bit. We never, discuss it because we want to give you guys our authentic reaction as much as breaking off of what we really feel about the film. For me, from the way that it even started, it takes place in the 1980s, like 1989, I think, roughly. And, he's just staring up into the ceiling and you see like the fan just revolving around and you're kind of like, what's really kind of going on? And then he kind of walks to like a kitchen location. And then from that point, I was kind of like, what is going on? Then they kind of go and pace forward a little bit. And I was just in awe of the soundtrack, the sound design, and the cinematography. The cinematography for me is kind of like, if you haven't seen The Boy Behind the Door, much of you guys that's watching this review right now probably haven't. It's amazing cinematography, and it's amazing suspense building cinematography. Like it takes different shots and decides like, okay, I'm going to pull you into this and I'm going to just tease you with what could happen. And give you the worst case scenario that's going to happen most of the time. It's like, some movies kind of tease you with like, oh, it's nothing going to really happen. This movie said, hold my beer. I'm going to make you feel every single raw emotion of fear and anxiety that this young man is dealing with. Not only is it that they're able to capture shots very well, it's the placement of different things. So when you think about the actual apartment, the apartment is really small. It's not like a big apartment. It's not even like a big house.
It is not.
But they decide to do certain subtle things to make you focus in on certain objects or different things that whether they're being misplaced or whether they're being changed or the settings being shifted, to make you understand this is a very volatile situation.
Yes.
And every single scene that you're watching in the very beginning of it is very intricate to how the whole survival game is going to go. And so I was like in awe of just the cinematography for the shot placement and the 80s style. Like I was kind of like, man, the Duffer Brothers that I love, from, that's Stranger Things or whatever.
Another thing. I could see them like taking over that whole project, because if they were this score is amazing. Jesus, it's amazing. How I you know what, I'm not gonna hold it back. I need to know how on an indie budget do you get the cinematography and the score that they managed to get out of this movie. This is a score that should be in a $50 million plus film.
It's true.
This is cinematography work that should be in a $200 million film, because you're not supposed to be able to get the shot, the placement, and everything they get out of this movie. This movie should not in any way, shape, form, or fashion be good. That in all honesty, it shouldn't be. And for them to pull this off. And man, look, again, I saw this a day before yesterday. We're reviewing it today. Not going to tell you what day we're reviewing it because you're going to see it when it drops. Just know. I have been thinking about this movie all day since I saw it. And all I kept on thinking was, how the hell did they pull off suspense in a small 2-bedroom apartment?
Exactly.
And use every room. And again, as Sam said, certain objects in every room. So it's a scene right at the beginning of this film with I'm guessing that's the air conditioning unit.
Yeah, it's this big, like old school air conditioning they used to have in old apartments. Yes.
And when it comes on initially, and the boy is shocked by it a little bit, thrown off, or that he shocks the audience because the boy actually does not react to it, but the audience is shocked by it.
Yeah.
And then when you revisit that later on in this film, you're like, oh my goodness, like that is, and again, just another film, just like again, Boy Behind the Door, where the hero of the film is shown absolutely no mercy.
Not at all.
Not at all. This amazing little kid is shown no mercy in this film for everything that he goes through. And it is so, we can't tell too much of this film because we do want you all to see it. And it's one scene I really wish I can talk about that, man, that it was it's a scene in the living room. That's all I'll say, with him and he's being chased. And everything he does in that scene,
oh my god,
immediately I said, oh my, I haven't seen, like, it brought me back to Jamie Lee Curtis when she was in a closet in Halloween 1 when Michael Myers was stabbing it and her reaction to everything that was going on. That's what I thought about him in that scene. That it is masterful.
Yeah, and it's just hard because he doesn't speak, you guys. Like, we're literally saying, like, imagine like you're in a situation and you're being like chased around by a serial killer, but you can't let out anything vocally.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's the situation that this kid is in. A kid. And as you can see from this picture, like, he's also got some things within himself that he hates. There's things within himself that he can't let go of because of consequences of his past. And as well, he's asthmatic. And it's like, okay, I'm going to be honest with y'all. I used to be asthmatic when I was younger. And the worst thing that could ever happen is you're dealing with anxiety and fear on top of being asthmatic, because it's just going to increase it. The more your blood pressure is boiling, the more you're going to feel it. And what they were able to do in this, and as well as this amazing actor in Ezra, he's able to build up with every moment where it's like he's barely gasping for air and he takes a pump and you're just like, okay, calm down, kid. Like, you're in your head, you're like, it's going to be okay, but it ain't going to be okay.
Hey, that whole scene of him taking a breath after the bathroom scene was, man, because the whole time you're like, okay, I understand you need to breathe, but I need you to move. And I need you to move fast. And it's just the way everything is set up that is so masterful. Because again, a kid with asthma was a ploy in the 80s, and it wasn't a good one. And we saw it a lot. And when I saw he had an inhaler, and Sam said he was asthmatic as a kid, so was I, but I am still currently asthmatic. So I was like, man, not a ploy again with the inhaler. But I love the point that they didn't make it a big focal point, but it was important to how his movements were and what he needed to accomplish in this film.
Yeah, there was a moment, much like The Boy Behind the Door, that our hero is in a very compromising situation. And I was kind of like, you don't do that to kids, man. You don't do that to kids. Because, I mean, you know, normally in like a horror movie trope, like either one, the movie's just so grotesque, like, you know, forget the kid. You know, it's just a second thought. Or then, you know, you never put the kids through so much. It's always the adults. These two directors, David and Justin, they said, you know what? We're going to show you the understanding and the capability of this young actor and what he can really do if given the opportunity. And just watch. Like, just sit back and watch. Like, do know, you know, there are supernatural elements. There are some weird things that are happening there, you know, very unrealistic. But the scenario and the way they set it up is perfect. I think that's the thing about the film. And Lucas said it, like, it shouldn't really work. But the way that they establish it and direct it and set it up from a story beat, as well as the position it's almost like you're playing chess.
Yes.
And they're like moving. It's like, oh man, they just did the Queen's Gambit on this. Like, you'll see. We don't want to save it too much. But the second and third acts, from a suspense standpoint, and from the way that things go, I don't know how people are going to really feel, but I can say as a critic, I can appreciate their execution of how they went about it. I give them all the credit for that. And I mean, technically, we will be talking with them later on. So I have some questions.
Hey, because most horror films that are this good tend to let you down in the third act.
Yes.
And not only do they not let you down here in the third act, they ramp it up in the third act. Without, again, one of the biggest tricks of horror movies is that you have your hero or heroine be able to do the horror movie scream and things like that. It really gets the audience involved. And he doesn't have a voice in this film. You are left with him, his physical performance, and the score. To build everything. That's all you have here. And there's a bunch of other supporting characters in this film that represent different things in this film. But this is as close to a one-man show you're going to get out of horror films. It's very reminiscent of if you thought of Will Smith in I Am Legend, the way he's really by himself for most of the film. Or if you think of Tom Hanks in Castaway, when he's by himself for most of the film. It's the same thing here. This is one person putting on a performance that, again, they are grown men and women, great actors who I don't think could hold a candle to this kid's performance in this movie. I'm just blown away. Like, at this point, I'm waiting for award season to come up again so I can judge who's going to actually put on a better performance than this kid. But then I felt the same way last year with Lonnie and Boy Behind the Door. Like, who's going to put on a better performance than this kid? And that I'm just, again, it is hard to really talk about just how amazing this film is. Again, this is horror gold. This is something you have to see. Even if you're not into horror movies, this is still something you have to see. Because this is just a masterclass on how to build suspense, how to put actors in great position to succeed on film. Like, I need to know what their next film is going to be. If you're going to ask them a question, that's the question. What studio is going to see these two movies and say, yeah, we just need to sign you to a deal and have you go nowhere else?
So I'm going to ask you, in a perfect world, what previous franchise would you think that they would perfect? And I mean, you can say anything from The Exorcist to...
You already know the movie I'm going to say. And I loved part 1 of this movie. I absolutely hated part 2 of this movie. And that's it. That's it. Like, this, they would have been the perfect people for that movie. Like, Sam understands I am the biggest Stephen King fan humanly possible.
He is.
And while I enjoyed the first It, I really did enjoy that movie. The second one, I really did not enjoy. And I think it was because the director struggled when he went away from children and had to work with adults. And that's something I don't think they would have that issue with.
I don't either.
And I would have loved to see them do that. But again, it's plenty of things I would love to see them do, especially in the realm of horror or suspense, like anything of that nature, thrillers. Like, I think they can nail a certain market with their ability to pull these performances out.
Yeah. And again, credit to the composer, Matthew Jones, amazing composition. Yeah, I think that they directed this very well. There was a moment, I swear, and I know you know when I'm gonna say it. It felt like a Mandy moment.
Yes. Yes.
And I was kind of like, whoa, hold on, bro. I kind of retreated. I was like, bro, why are we, because the scene, it kind of like, first of all, the way that they actually shot it, that's gonna be one of the questions. And Lucas knows what I'm talking about, but they take this whole
turns around the it's
and I was kind of like, I'm freaked out, and I don't know why we're focusing in on it, but then you find out later on exactly why. And I was kind of just like, because initially I was like, this doesn't make sense, but this is amazing. But I was like, I'm freaked out at the same time. So again, it's rare. This is the only man. I don't want to go this route. What do you? What's your rating, Lucas?
Oh,
at this point,
10.
like
10
out of 10 for you.
10 out of 10. I'm not. And again, I've seen horror movies, other ones that I haven't dropped the reviews for yet, that are really, really good films that do great jobs of building suspense. The point they were able to build the suspense in a small 2-bedroom apartment and yet make every room feel like it was the biggest, safest place at times for this kid. It's amazing. I don't know how you managed to do that.
Yeah, that's a good point, because then you have to worry about pacing.
Yes.
Because like technically the movie is only is an hour and 20 something minutes, but it didn't feel, I felt satisfied throughout. Like it wasn't like, oh man, this went by too quick, or oh man, this drug out too long. Like I don't know how they did that. I really don't.
Possibly the switching of the protagonists in the film and the way they did it, which again, if you have a small budget and you can find a way to pull off something like this, you're just like, oh, okay. Because after you get through it, the first one, and then you get to the second, you're like, oh, and it brings up even more, and you're like, this is sickening that they thought about this and how they plotted this out.
You're right. You are absolutely. I really want to talk about that. I really want to talk about it so bad. We're gonna talk about this offline, because they play. Yes, we're talking about Ezra as Dylan. He does an amazing job, but they also do some other foundational things as far as the world and the environment.
Mm-hmm.
How they got to this apartment, why they're in this apartment, who does he live with, what's the situation, and then also with the supernatural side of it, which we didn't even talk about, bro. I ain't gonna lie to you, man. Some of the supernatural stuff freaked me out. Like I was like, that's some bad juju. I was rebuking and I was like praying. I was like, nah, bro, I can't. I don't know. I don't know.
The whole scene with the glass, man. Like that almost came as close to anything I've seen of taking away all hope. Because I kind of lost hope. I said, yep, there's no way this is going to turn out good.
Yeah.
And then everything, and you're like, oh, wow. Like,
yeah.
Yeah. Again, I would love to tell you more about this film, just like I did last year's film that I would love to tell you more about. Nope. Yeah. These are films you have to experience and see. And when you experience and see it, I think people are just going to be amazed by it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially since now it looks like they're going to be able to experience this, which is technically their second film. And then a couple of months later, you'll be able to finally see their first film. And when you see these two, if you see them back to back, you're gonna wonder, okay, so when is Marvel gonna try to sign you? Like it's gonna be one of those things. It's like one of those things where big studios look for those small indie directors that they can lock into things.
Yeah.
And someone, I count my words, by 2022, someone is going to lock these two into a studio deal.
Yeah, and even speaking for the young actor Ezra, he's gonna get picked up by somebody too.
Yes.
I don't know where or how, but he is very talented. You guys.
Yes.
I don't even know where you kind of put it. I would love to interview him, to be honest.
He was behind the door through the whole first movie.
True.
And we stood by while Lonnie was absolutely killing it in that movie. And then you get to see him here take the forefront, and you're like, geez, like, how is it possible that you're this talented? How is it possible?
Bro, they struck gold. That's all I know.
Yes.
They legit struck gold. Because again, we talked about the cinematography, we talked about the score, we talked about the talent. And again, this isn't like, I don't know. Anyway,
this isn't a big budget studio film.
It's not
known everything that all of these people. You understand? No,
not at all.
indie films
Yep.
on a small budget. And guess what? You know it's a small budget when you're watching the movie.
Mm-hmm.
But boy, do you forget that quick.
Yeah.
And you just get trapped into this world that will captivate you. And this is, again, kudos to everyone involved. This is an amazing film.
Yeah. Yeah. I would rest this at a 9 or 9.5 out of 10. This is definitely one of the better horror
That
films I've
never
seen.
happens that my score is higher than yours.
Yeah. I can't.
Wow.
I'll talk about that off camera. But nah, bro, this is one of the better horror films I've seen since The Boy Behind the Door. And there's only one other, I don't even know if I can classify that as a horror film, but we saw something at South by Southwest.
Oh, that movie
that
sickening.
That just gutted us. That gutted me and Lucas.
That movie was sickening. We reviewed it. So it's up.
Yeah. So definitely check out that one. Make sure I get the name of that movie. I think I blocked out the name of the film.
Oh man, I definitely did. I have blocked out every bit of that film. Not in a bad way.
Come home in the dark. Coming Home in the Dark.
Yes. Oof.
That film broke us. It legit broke us. Like, this film is relentless too. I'm not knocking it, but Coming Home in the Dark.
It's a different type of relentless in that film, but this film is more art, if I should say it that way. This film is more art and done in a way that, again, there's no locations in this movie.
Not at all.
It literally seems like they say, you know what, we're gonna rent this small 2-bedroom apartment for maybe a month or two, and we're gonna shoot a movie in this apartment. We're gonna shoot, and the scope of each room. First, we're going to show you how small the apartment is.
Mm-hmm.
Then, during key points of the film, we're going to put a scope on each room that makes it look huge. And it will make you forget just how small the room is, but we will still do things to remind you all of this is happening in a 2-bedroom apartment.
Yeah. Am I mistaken? There was a shot they shot it almost like it felt like it was shot on the ceiling.
Yes.
And I don't really know how they did it.
At one point in time, I swore, I said, they had to do this close. You can see the cuts, but you still like, some of these are like amazing one-take shots. Like you're just bending corners to show oh my god. They even pull, you know how hard it is to pull off in a horror movie, the under the bed scare scene? That is a hard scene to pull off because everyone has seen that scene.
Yeah.
And boy, do they pull it off here. And you're like, I can't believe this.
Yeah.
I can't believe they pulled this off.
The super best thing I can say without spoiling is the supernatural situation that's happening.
Mm-hmm.
It's not being handled by somebody stupid. Like they know full well what's going on and how to mess us up. And I mean that figuratively and literally. In the like, it's not your conventional kind of, I can't say much more, but yeah, you guys, we liked it, we loved it. We will be definitely talking with the directors tomorrow, and hopefully you guys enjoy this review. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit that little bell button. If you would like to see our review for The Boy Behind the Door, as well as the other film coming, I blocked it out of my head again, Coming Home in the Dark. It'll be somewhere over here or down here, somewhere.
Have we even said where this is releasing at? Or did we just talk about the movie? I don't think we mentioned where it's releasing at.
No, we didn't.
Yep. It's like we wanted to keep this a secret from y'all.
Yeah. I'm gonna let Lucas do the honors, and then I'll talk about where.
I think it's premiering. Is it May the 14th?
May the 14th.
Is it premiering a VOD for IFC, or is it premiering on their channel?
I believe this is premiering on their channel for IFC Midnight. as
Okay.
well as I believe it's also going to be for distribution on VOD. But let me confirm that, you guys, because I got the. We should have kind of figured that out before.
Hey, look here. We just talked about the movie, and I knew from when we did Boy Behind the Door, I got personal calls. Okay, where can I see this movie at? And we've even hounded the directors, like, okay,
Oh yeah, we have. We've
is
been
this movie
asking.
coming out?
Can we know when this? Because I need to see this movie again. And I'm gonna be honest with you guys, that is coming out July the 29th on Shudder. So
The best horror movie app ever. Matter of fact, the best app ever. I've said that in all my reviews on Shudder projects.
he does.
That's the best streaming app going. And IFC ain't that bad. But IFC is also part of AMC Plus.
AMC Plus, yeah.
So,
yeah, so if you
matter of fact,
have
Shudder is
AMC
too.
Plus, yeah, if you have
You get
AMC
both.
Plus, you get IFC Midnight, you get Shudder, you get, of course, I think AMC Premiere stuff from the AMC Plus. So if you have AMC Plus, you're covered either way. But if you have, I believe, Verizon and this Xfinity also do like the IFC channel as well.
I think both of them do the IFC channel, which
So,
hopefully the Djinn will be shown on both. Again, this is something that hopefully, as horror movie fans, you definitely have to see. As fans of cinema, this is something you should really see.
Yes.
I think this is kind of one of those films that in a film study class you can put on to show how to build a shot, how to set it up, how to build suspense. Like, this is one of those type of films that you can put on and people say, okay, I get it. I can't do what you did, but I see how you did it.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely think this is something that could be studied and kind of dissected in a very specific way. So yeah. So anyway, you guys definitely stay tuned for that. And I'll leave the details in the description bar below so you can be able to find both The Boy Behind the Door and Djinn for its respective releases. Okay, guys, we're out. Peace, everybody. If you want us to do a spoiler review for this after it's released, let us know.
Listen, I
would
waiting
love to be a part of that.
year to do a spoiler review on Boy Behind the Door.
It's true.
And now we have another film we could do. We may loop them into 1 hour long spoiler review.
I think that, you know what we should do is this, Lucas. We should do a watch party. We should do a watch party on when The Boy Behind the Door comes out. We should do a watch party with commentary after watching it, just the commentary alone. And then after that, watch the Djinn. And then we go and do our full-fledged review. I think that would be a really good build-up. I think
that
would enjoy it. So,
hey, again, it's been a year since we saw.
I can't wait to see the
Boy Behind the Door at Fright Fest. I can't wait to see that film again. And I will possibly try to watch Djinn again tonight as I go to sleep. That should tell you something. I'm a sick individual. I'm telling you.
So I'm gonna post this so you guys can be able to see it in a banner form. So that way there's no
that's not the banner at all, sir.
There's no
gave me flashbacks of terror when I first saw that banner come up there. I said, this better not be.
There you go. Wait, did I get everything? No, I missed some part of it. Hold up. Here it is, right here.
I promise you all, we don't set this stuff up before we
No, we don't. We don't. It'll be available everywhere to rent movies on May the 14th. So Djinn will be available in select theaters as well as everywhere to rent.
So that means art house theater. So this may play in like what's the theater downtown? Well, East Street Cinema.
Yeah, East Street will probably definitely have it, and then that other one in Arlington.
I may use this one to be my comeback film for theaters, which would be odd since I've seen it already. But
so you guys, you'll be able to rent it. You'll be able to go to the theater to see it in a limited capacity if the theater is available for you. Go ahead and check your local listing. So I'm glad we posted that up right now.
Oh, matter of fact, since you'll be able to rent it. See, I love this throwing away people's money that has nothing to do with me. But since you'll be able to rent it, I mean, comment down on the movie below, and the best comment, we will rent the movie for you, so you can check
that
this
works.
out.
That works for me, and we can do the same thing for The Boy Behind the Door.
Oh,
Again, we will
definitely.
be doing a commentary for both later on, and yeah, definitely go and check out our interview that we have tomorrow. It should be pretty special. All right, guys, peace, everybody.